Hi everyone, I'm Ain. How are you today? I hope that you will have a good day. In every video, I will bring the best things in life for you. I just received an email from an Italian friend with only a few lines. I'm sad. Me and my boyfriend have just broken up. If I know that earlier, I didn't love him. That email made me drooling for a few minutes before I really understood what was going on. A few years ago, when I was in England, I went to Italy to visit my friend. At that time, they were very salty, fell head over heels in love with each other. I still remember at a quiet, chill and romantic cafe, very Italian. She confided to me that she were lucky and grateful to have a true love. Seeing she sad, regretful and self-blame, my mood also dropped. Knowing that I should or shouldn't, wish if only, are really haunting phrases because it shows the feeling of regret that makes us deny the happiness we have. As Michael confided in the story The Reader, after Hannah left, but we were happy. Sometimes the memory of happiness cannot stay true because it ended unhappily. I certainly think back to the moments then when I felt sorry for the things that happened in the past, the things I wished to change but I couldn't, and wanted to share with you this Sunday. Regret cannot be a pleasant feeling. I used to wish I had Doraemon's time machine to go back in the past and fix things that didn't happen to my expectations. Surrounded by mythical desire, I tied myself in the past like a wild animal trapped in a trap that couldn't get out, but only caused more pain for myself. Not only making me tired, my mood also affects other people around me. My past friend in secondary school once told me, if I still keep the phone I used in college, it will be full of messages from you complaining about your fate and regrets. You see, being friends with such regrets has taken away so much fun time and energy from me. Although I realize it's a negative emotion that spreads at the speed of light, I find it really hard to get over it. However, even though it is difficult, it is not an impossible task because I believe that it is entirely up to us to let what we do or do not to push us forward or paralyze us in the past and depend on ourselves. Gradually, I learned to see regrets in a more positive way. I feel truly happier and maybe sometimes don't have the desire to change the past. I understood that when I regret, I use current information to assess the past. There was a time when I lived in torment of my past actions. I regretted the mature I chose in college. I regret the complicated relationships. I regret the opportunities I didn't take, and so on. I'm like a director who rewinds my film and wants to change all the scenes that I don't satisfy. Then I gradually realized that blaming myself like that was not fair for me in the past, and it was cruel to me now. Why? Because obviously me of the old days did not have the valuable information that me of the current is holding. I didn't have enough knowledge and understanding in high school about what I really wanted to learn and do. I was in a relationship that didn't know that relationship wasn't as good as I thought. In economics, there is a theory of asymmetric information, in which one person will have more information than another about the subject of a transaction. And for some reason, whenever I think of regrets, I see the me of now and the me of the past as two versions of a transaction. The actions, events that happened. I make a choice, and as time passed, I began to think about what had happened. I analyze, I obsess over what happened. I blame myself and wish I could redraw the past. As time continued to pass, I gained more information and knowledge, and the analysis became more and more intense. Obviously, over time, I gained more information and knowledge. Then I returned to judge my choices in the past. That's not fair at all. I gradually learned that no matter how loudly I shouted, if only, wish, I couldn't get a time machine to go back in time. Therefore, we should be more forgiving with ourselves in the present tense and try to learn to make better decisions for the next time. I always learn interesting things from what happened. Although I do not follow any religion, I have a firm belief that everyone you meet along the way, whether they treat you well or not, whatever happens has a mind. They all teach us a valuable lesson. Sounds theoretical, doesn't it? In the past, when I was regretting something and someone had the guts to tell me that, I would think that they were crazy and that their stomach must be full of theory. But as time goes by, reflecting on myself, I find that theory works for me quite well. Now, every time I find myself starting to mutter, if only I shouldn't, I wish I didn't, I find a way to pause that thoughts by asking myself, what did I learn about myself from that experience? How do I wish I had acted? Why did I react like that? Actually, I'm trying to look at the past from the perspective of a curious person rather than someone who just thinks, wish, if only. My American friend once confided to me that he regretted not being able to maintain the serious relationship he had when he was younger. He is always jealous and has the mentality of owning his lover. He behaves like a guy who is passionate about rare antiques, always afraid that thieves will break into the house. So he hides his things behind several rows of safes. He really regrets and blames himself a lot. Tracing the root cause, he realized that witnessing the extremely complicated divorce of his parents has always made him feel insecure, and is always afraid of losing the precious things he holds. When he understood that, he was also more generous with himself and tried to learn to control himself in the following relationships. Writing here, I certainly think of the job I just quit. I didn't wake up every morning eager to go to work. My enthusiasm is like a bicycle without brakes that has plunged to the bottom of a slope without realizing it. Of course, I understand that there is not an easier job. Work is just a promise a compromise between what I like and what I have to do. And I try to do a certain job where the distance between those two factors is as small as possible. Actually, there was a time when I wish I had gone to school 2 years ago instead of doing this job. Would have I come a bit of the way I want now? But when I think about it, I find myself learning a lot from this job. I realize that my personality is completely unsuitable for media. I understand more about my true desire. I am not afraid to read books, thinking, and write down what I learn. Although I believe that I'm not really suitable for this job, being a communications officer has given me a lot of valuable experience. In my wildest dreams, I can't even imagine one day I would sit down and build my own website, tweaking the theme to my linking based on what I've learned from building a website before. Moving from regret to gratitude, I didn't find myself seeing it as a bad choice. I believe going back in time is impossible, but learning from those regrets is possible. Yesterday, I went to lunch with my lovely sister. She told me that if I want to study, nothing or hostile force can stop me. And I believe that advice can also be applied to learning from regrets. Instead of regrets, I focus on what I can change. Alphonse Kerr wrote a sentence in his work, A Tour Around My Garden, that I find very interesting and meaningful. We can complain because rose bushes have thorns, or rejoice because thorns have roses. In a state of frustration, I find it difficult to be persuaded to change the way I look at something or something. But I've come to understand that seeing things from a different perspective is incredibly important to channeling energy into what we can change and freeing ourselves from things that are so deeply rooted in the past soil. When I was young, I was quick-tempered, arrogant, always thinking that I knew more than others. Therefore, I am very stubborn, always think of myself as right and rarely listen to anyone's advice. But the more I go out, interact with the world, meeting many really talented, dedicated, humble people, I realize that all I know is just a grain of sand in the desert. And learning, cultivating knowledge, perfect yourself is a lifelong process. Oh, there was a time when I kept regretting, just wanted to travel back in time to teach me a lesson when I was younger. But then I gradually stopped seeing it as a bad experience, but simply an integral part of the learning process. Changing my attitude made me channel my energy into valuable lessons and try to correct my behavior in the future instead of agonizing over what I did in the past. We will less regrets if we understand that everything is relative. I accidentally found out that a professor of a university I contacted before submitting the PhD application was my age. Then I accidentally met a boy who is younger than me, but has almost got a PhD and will soon start a research career at a university in US. Somehow, when I meet people like that, I start to regret it. Sometimes I regret not going to school earlier. Otherwise, I could have gone almost halfway. Not just now, taking my first steps. I gradually realized that I easily fell into the if only, which trap, when comparing myself to others. And I was like that. When comparing ourselves to others, we have the feeling that the grass on the other side is always greener. However, looking closely, this comparison is not the same as if we were comparing oranges with apples. When I compare myself to the other teacher or younger brother, I forget that they have a different background than me. Maybe they realize their desire earlier than me. Maybe they try harder, determine more than me, and so on. And I also forgot that the time I went to work before I went to school gave me a lot of practical experience that maybe school didn't teach me. I regret more than the things I didn't do. It's strange. When I'm in my 30s, think back to the things I regret. Most of them are the things I didn't do, the opportunities I didn't take. More and more I realize this world is very big and life has so many things to do, so many things to learn, so many places to explore. But time is not as full as ocean water. Mark Twain said an inspirational quote. 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than by the ones you did do. So throw off the boil lines. Sail away from the safe harbor. Catch the trade winds in your sails. Explore, dream, discover. When I was young, I used to think that only when I have time I should take a course. When I have money, I should travel. When I write well, I should have a blog. And only when I have conditioned, I will fulfill my dream, and so on. But I gradually understood that we don't have much time. If we want to do something, do it now, and always, and let's glean useful lessons in the process. Thank you so much for listening to me.